It's another episode of the Daily DTG. I'm Brian.
I'm Dean.
And we have Mr. Eric with us.
Deem.
Let's get to it.
Dean.
Thanks, Dino.
Dean.
Deemer. Brian.
Yeah.
B-Walk.
B-Walk.
Anyways, let's get to it. All right, Eric, we're back.
Yes.
We have your entire life history rolled up into about 60 minutes.
Printing history.
Yeah.
Printing history.
Shit, that's all I know.
Yeah, that's true.
We grew up in it.
Yeah.
So,
Son of a cobbler, you know.
but and never had shoes or a shirt, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh God, if I ever bring home another T-shirt, I'm looking at a divorce.
My wife, the same thing.
So do you?
Even now, she tells me you got to clean that damn dresser out. You wear like 6 shirts. And you have 3 drawers in your dresser just packed full of shirts.
What's funny is like I only wear black T-shirts, like plain black T-shirts.
That's pretty much all I've got to, and it's mainly just RTP stuff.
Yeah.
It's like I can print stuff. I enjoy that. Would look awesome. That is a great shirt. It's like I've gone minimalistic. I'm never going to wear that. It looks awesome, printed awesome, but
yeah, I'm not gonna. I never wear the stuff we print at shows and sample and stuff because it just shows off how cool it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna wear a 15 color giraffe or something.
What do you have against giraffes?
I know, right? I'm sorry. I have
my favorite
giraffe phobia.
Man, Peter's going to be all over this. Thank you so much.
Do you guys ever, when you're at the store, at the mall, Walmart, I don't care what it is, I touch every single shirt, and I get in so much trouble for doing that. And then I'll be like, look at the flaw. Don't you see the banding here? Don't you see this registration issue? What the hell are you talking about? Put the shirt away. Let's go.
Like my wife usually I'm either in the toy section or I'm in the apparel section, like with a shirt, like I can only imagine somebody walking by like, what the F is that weirdo doing over there sniffing shirts?
I was going to say, that's it. I do that all the time.
I do too.
As soon as I get something for Christmas, or it's like, I'll smell it, and I'm like, oh, okay. My wife is like, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. I'll pull the RN number up and see who actually made the shirt. Because if it doesn't, it could say whatever on the tag, and it's like, okay, let me look at the RN number. I like the way this feels. This is a Hanes. Oh, okay. Let me go and see if I can't find this model. I like it, and then bring some in the test and see if we want to sell them.
There's a reason.
Yeah, there is. It's not just we're not psycho.
Back there.
But I think most T-shirt printers or people who are in print in general are a little bit. We're a little off. The whole graphic world, neurotic or just psycho. I mean,
Speak for yourself. I mean,
right? Yeah, no, narcissistic. That's what I should have said. Yeah.
Who the hell are you pointing at, man?
Mm-hmm. Our production crew. Anyways,
hi guys.
So we've all been in the apparel decorating industry. You really sort of cut your teeth on the early days of direct-to-garment. We just recently came back from, by the time this airs out, it'll probably be 2-3 weeks out from the printing, or the Long Beach ISS show. I can't keep track of the show.
Impressions.
Not
expressions.
ISS Impressions Show.
2022. 23.
Wow.
Come on.
Yeah.
So
too many years in, they all just roll together anymore. But one of the big things, I got there late just due to some family stuff that had to be taken care of. And the one thing I noticed when I walked in on Saturday, the show was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, was the immense amount of DTF. And for those that are watching, DTG is direct-to-garment. DTF is direct to film. Oh. Yeah, not that one. Are you DTF? But there was another one that I just saw today.
DFT?
No, TLS or
ATM?
TLS. I think it was
TLS.
TLS. And I was like, what?
You want to guess?
I'm like, what do you guys
transfer?
TLS.
I have no idea.
I think that's what I said too.
I don't know.
I believe it's transfer laser system.
So they're doing it. So basically,
or TLF or TLS. I think it was like a transfer laser film type.
So like the Oki world.
LTS.
Yeah, the Oki world. So realistically, we have the laser type setup, and that's been around for several years.
Oh yeah, for a long time.
direct-to-film, really, I would constitute is in the same stage right now as direct-to-garment was back in the early 2000s with the T-Jet.
Agreed.
And the big thing we always hear, and we've said this multiple times now, is, or we've had people say, DTF is going to replace direct-to-garment. It's going to replace, it's this and that, da-da-da-da. Let's just start dissecting this and running down these rabbit holes one at a time. I may have to pull us back out of the rabbit hole, but, your thoughts on everything. We'll just let it be a free-for-all and let you pick a rabbit hole.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, look.
Okay, sorry to pause.
Oh, God.
No. Millcraft is also with doing DTF stuff,
correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct. So we do. So we direct. We have some direct-to-film equipment, supplies, the shakers, the ovens.
So you're in it.
We're in. Oh yeah. And it has its purpose. It took me a while actually to believe it. I mean,
what was your reservation at first?
It didn't solve a problem.
What problem?
Well, ideally, it was to eliminate pre-treat. Okay, that's the whole premise, is that we're going to eliminate pre-treat. We're going to eliminate pre-treat, but you're not eliminating any steps. We still have to print, powder, cure, press, transfer, pull, repress again. I mean, so you're not saving any steps.
And I liken the powdering to the pre-treating process. Period. And it's funny because if you're doing it not in an enclosed unit, oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, shaking it. Oh, breathing that in.
You want to talk, people, like, well, what about the vapors and steam from I'm like, have you looked at DTF?
Yeah, that's
that process.
The powder's nasty.
That's glue.
I got some in our R&D room, and it was like, it's like I'm starting to find this white dust everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's starting to look like a crack house over there.
It took me actually seeing it, touching it, feeling it. I mean, I like transfers, especially like single color plastisol transfers. If I'm doing, like when I was running my shop, if I had a construction company come in and they need 50 hoodies and it's all one color, I am not DTG in that.
No.
That's why I got into screen printing, but
I mean, if I don't have the printing, and I don't want to sub it out.
You could go to Stalls or someplace,
or whoever
for you, and there you go.
Right, and then let them do that work while my DTG printer is making me more money, because it's handling the on-demand, it's handling the fulfillment, it's handling the full color stuff. That's making me money, while Stalls or F&M, any of the other ones, they're spending their labor on making the transfers for me. And then all I got to do is actually do the transfer process, which is seconds. Yeah. So it makes total sense for me to handle that way. But when I first saw DTF, I just thought, this is just another full color transfer process, no big deal. But then when I started kind of looking at it more from an application standpoint, from the ability. DTG has its limitations, has just like all printing technologies. What's easy for DTG is difficult for screen printing. What's easy for screen printing is difficult for DTG. DTF, same factors go into play. There's certain things that you are not going to fade off into the shirt through a transparency channel like you can with DTG on DTF. Like, where we can
to the flaming guitar.
Right, exactly. Going back to that flaming guitar, you're never going to be able to do that. Now we're back into halftones, to be able to do things. Now we're not printing. It's rasterized half toning, but it's still not in the feel. It's a heavier hand. But when you're talking about, I can put it on nylon, I can put it on polyesters. The substrates are so much more bigger.
And I liken it to like even the tags.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I saw one. The printer that you carry, the DTF. What's the linear footage or inch output per hour that it can do?
So we have a couple of different options. But just in general, you're somewhere between 15 to 30 or 40 linear feet an hour, depending on the machine.
Okay, so 12 is 144. So 150 to, let's say, 160 linear feet, just as a base point. Let's do 150 because it's easier for math. Yeah. And it's, 0.4 inch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I'm printing something that is 10 inches wide by 12,
okay,
I can do two side by side.
Yep.
But if I'm only at 150 inches, 144 would be 12 feet.
Right.
Times two. And it takes, I'm taking up a foot for each linear foot. So
Correct.
I'm getting what, 24
an
to
hour?
maybe 30 an hour. What am I getting on direct to garment?
About the same, depending on the machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See,
And it's a done garment.
It's a done garment with a
the
different
print is already on the apparel.
Now,
Yeah.
however, if you're talking a 1-inch square neck tag,
Pre-treating that, holding that, trying to print on that.
is a booger.
Paint, doing sleeves.
Those spot applications. Yeah. Now, I could probably print 1,000 of those 1-inch squares in an hour. Easy. You could have a bazillion of them.
Yeah.
Now, that again, it's like we've talked before. You're in it to make money. Use the best application for the process at hand, or best process for the application at hand,
right tools.
and then using the right tools, because you're in it to make money.
Yep.
But that's why the biggest thing that I hear all the time is, "Oh, DTF is going to replace DTG. It's going to put it out of existence."
No, it's definitely not. Not a chance. It's never going to happen. And the main reason, so when we're steering people or helping guide people, I hate using the word steer, but I am trying to push them.
Help them find the best solution.
Right, find the path that they need to go down. What is your lane? And so one of the first qualification questions we ask them is, what is your target business model? Is your target business model retail, people coming in with a flash drive, wanting 1 or 2 at a time, you're doing web to print, you're doing online fulfillment, then DTG makes way more sense.
I was going to ask, when you say the one-off type stuff, would you use that for DTF?
If it is going on athletic apparel and I need something that's super stretch, but the problem is that when you're doing roll to roll, I need to gang up 10 feet worth of film
to get
one out.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the thing. I don't think people really realize that when we're talking DTF, unless you have a small desktop type printer that can output a single sheet at a time,
or DTG.
The DTG printers now do it
with it. And that's the other thing too. There's so many rabbit holes we can go here. People don't realize I've gotten rid of my DTG to go full DTF. Okay, that's great, but why not keep it to do what DTG can do? And
it's like a multi-tool.
DTF on
multi-tool.
Right. So I look at what's your exceptions going to be. So is it where your core business is going to be you're a ABC printer on Main Street and you've got copy machines and you've got binding equipment and you've got a DTG printer because you got somebody coming in, they're looking for onesie twosies. That's where DTG shines. But if you get every once in a while, hey, I want you to go ahead and relabel all my neck labels. Well, put a cut sheet on your DTG printer, a 16 by 20, and print off a dozen or two.
Gosh, you could get 14 by 14 is 200 and I forget what it is. The 14 by 14 or 14 by 60 and 14 by 20. My gosh, you're talking 240, 250 of them. It'd clip
to fit. Yeah. So when I had my business, I was doing heavy screen printing. We had a couple core customers that wanted individual branding. I wasn't screen printing those. I did occasionally, but then I learned I'm just going to freaking order transfers.
Yeah.
So I wish that I would have done the same thing with my direct-to-garment stuff.
And a 14 by 14 would be 196.
There you go. I can't do the math.
It took some time to do some math.
I know this.
I wouldn't have. It would have took me till tomorrow to figure that out.
But I mean, if a customer comes in and they're like, "Yo, our core business is we do a lot with aerobics schools. We do a lot of baseball teams. We do a lot of basketball teams. We're doing a lot of athletic apparel, and we're ganging stuff up." Great. Then DTF makes a lot of sense to me for you to do that. But mind you, the hand is not going to be the same.
Totally different.
It's going to feel different. It's going to look different. But I tested a lot of film, a lot of powders before settling on the brands that we offer. And they're not all equal, man. There's just like the T-shirts. There's big differences in the brands of shirts, just like there's big differences in the films and the powders.
People need to understand that, like, they have to work together.
Yes.
So the ink and the film and the powder, they all have to be, sort of.
It's not created equal. You can buy that ink, use that film, and get.
And I've tried that.
Result,
but big name brands. I mean, big names that have been in print for. Since day one, do not work the same with this ink set as another brand, a Korean brand of film or whatever works. But it's crazy.
It is weird.
The same thing with hot peel versus cold peel.
Very new.
It's very new.
Again, so we talked about that last episode. DTF really is in the infancy stage. It's a baby, and everybody is still an early adopter.
This version of DTF.
Well, yeah, because they've been doing it
around
forever.
the 70s. 60s,
Yes, they've been.
But
it's not
this
the same,
version of DTF, so it's getting a new life, but it's a new baby.
Well, now we're starting to see that the big transfer companies now have had to take a step back. So your Transfer Expresses of the world, and I'm not saying nothing negative about stalls, but they've all had to realize, like, oh, wait a minute. Now the end user can reproduce the same thing that we were doing for 10 years.
They built their whole business.
And we've figured out that the math on an average 12 by 12 print is around 75 cents for the film, the powder, and the ink. You're not buying it for 75 cents, a full color print from a 12 by 12 from Stalls or from any of the transfer companies for that kind of price point. And they realize that. So now all of a sudden the ROI.
That's an interesting point. Okay. The image that would be done, let's say, on a DTF, doing the same image on a direct-to-garment.
They're pretty close price point.
Okay, that's what I wanted to drive at.
Yeah, they're really close.
They're really, really close. And it depends on the image itself.
Oh, yes.
And the amount of white ink coverage, color of shirt, all that stuff. Now,
hold on now. So I'm going to interrupt you for a second, okay? Because what color of shirt is irrelevant to me completely when it comes to DTF.
That's what I want to get to.
That's the benefit of DTF, is that I don't care. I can print on any brand of shirt, any color, any blend. There's very little limitations with DTF.
Correct.
But you still can't get the same type of results what DTG is going to give you on an on-demand.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here because that's the first that I've heard of this, honestly.
Which part?
The pricing.
Oh,
pricing's the same. Because a lot of people they say, oh, this DTF ink is so much cheaper than DTG ink. So how does the math work out there?
Technically, the ink is less expensive.
Well, it depends.
And you use less, but the actual cost of the ink typically is less expensive depending on where you get.
There's a lot of
variables. There's a lot of.
But if you're using your DTG printer for cut sheet film, you're going to use 30%
less.
2/3 less. So your white ink, if your white ink on a black T-shirt is at 100%, okay, we'll just say on DTG, with DTF it's going to be at 30%.
Okay, but.
So
you have the cost of that film,
yes, but the cost of the film and the powder.
On top of that. Now, you could liken the powder to the pre-treat.
Exactly. And that's about how, it's like I'd have to look it up. I have it. I have the numbers. It's something like a dime per square foot. Okay. So we're right there. It's very, 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 at the end of the day, a shirt's going to cost me $5. No matter which technology I use, it's somewhere around $5 a shirt is where I'm going to be at.
But and I'm not saying you do it this way sales-wise because your whole approach is different, but we were just at Long Beach.
Mm-hmm.
How many different printers did you see? And the problem with that in and of itself is the sales process of it.
Well, I saw all of the same printers just rebodied and recolored as different machines. Same thing we saw with DTG back in the day, where they're all Epson based. There's not a DTF printer out there that's not Epson based. So that tells you something right there. Wow. Epson. Yeah, they're all Epson. I've not found a single one that's Ricoh.
Really?
Yeah,
even the Chinese?
Yep, they're Epson i3200s.
Wow.
So they all, and what's interesting, they're all the same machine. You can tell when you walk up to it, it's like, it's the same ink delivery, it's a different body, it's the same printers, which is good and bad. Who did they buy? What factory in China did they buy it from? But they're all using the same core components. Yeah. Just like DTG, there's only so many ways to jet ink through a printhead, right? So, but the thing that I found that was most interesting is the pitches between all the different, ours is better, ours is this. You guys are all using the same print heads. They're all using the same drivers. They're all using the same rip. They're all using the same print controller. And one of the manufacturers actually.
Really? They're all using the same rip?
Mm-hmm. Almost everybody uses CADLink. 98% of the DTF printers out there use CADLink. CADLink is by far and away the leader of DTF rips. I mean, by like 100 to 1. It's unbelievable. Every booth you go into, they're using CADLink.
Wow.
And CADLink is just phenomenal with their.
They make it easy.
They're so easy. And I've been using them for a decade. So, I mean, I'm really tight with the guys at CADLink.
They have a great
product. They work with me on a lot of stuff. Yeah, I love their product. It's so easy to use. It's drag drop. And I like how it does the auto ganging and the auto nesting and all that stuff. So I can just go into a folder, select all 25 and drop it in there and go.
What is the pitch? I mean, what is it? Just they're building on their existing brand? And
it's my ink is better than their ink, even though they're the same per se inks. One of the manufacturers, and I'm not going to get into names and stuff. We don't need to do that, but I kind of depending on how you look at it, is a pro and a con. So one of the manufacturers is selling the exact same printer as what was 2 booths down, except for their value prop is that they're going to include an extra printhead. Well,
whoa.
right, that's a big red flag for me.
Yeah.
That's a big red. But other people, I'm listening to them in the booth. They're like, "Oh, wow, that's nice." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. What you're telling me then is that your machine isn't up to snuff because you're giving away a free printhead,
or your inks
or the
are
inks
causing the problem.
Right.
Printhead, or
so you're admitting a known issue that you're going to have to.
Now they look at it as though, well, everybody's in the same problems or going to have the same problems. We're just addressing it and being proactive.
That's true.
That's how they're
right.
That's how they're pitched, and I get that.
Yeah.
But that was the early days of DTG.
Yeah.
But people weren't giving away printheads.
No.
But that was a big issue, especially with the repurposed
machines,
R1900s and 4880s and all that
stuff. It's like, and back then, the ink issue was a problem also because it wasn't nearly as advanced technologically as it is today.
I was looking through my phone the other day and I found this picture. At one point in time, I had 6 DX5 printheads just sitting there. I'm like, $1,200, $1,200,
shoot, $2,500 now.
Oh, now. But
well, I think that we learned on. When the inks were being first released, when white ink first came to market, it was huge, right? I mean, that was game changing.
It was game changing.
Okay, but nobody really understood what the ramifications of it were
on a
printhead, and manufacturers were saying it's ready to shoot. Well, we realized back when I was at Belkett, we actually were taking the inks that were quote ready to shoot and going through a 40-hour filtration and degassing process, and then repackaging and selling the inks that way. And we saw dramatic decrease in head failures because the inks were just not up to stuff. They were fine on the surface, but when you started getting into a macro level on the inks, you're starting to see a lot more problems and a lot more trash in the ink than what's to be expected. And we saw a dramatic decrease. So I think that's continually getting better and better and better. The inks have more conditioners in them.
Like we mentioned in the last episode, it's that constant catch up. What drives the digital technology industry is at the core of what we do. It's the printheads. The printheads are driving the advancements. Mm-hmm. It's like, but the other part of the industry is always going to be ahead of that. So it's like in the early days, okay, we need to figure out how to push this ink because this is the printhead we have. This is what we're working with. And is it going to work all the time? We just got to test and see and kind of make tweaks and
it's a constant chasing game.
I mean, even now I hear about new printhead technology that we're going to see eventually in another 5 years or so. That's going to be like, holy crap! You can jet that through that. And,
I've seen where they're jetting like maple syrup through printheads now. I mean,
I just talked to. I got to think how to phrase this.
Somebody.
Let me ask you this, and I'm just going to
component company.
The ability to do glitter and that type of special effects inks through printheads today. Now, the big question on that is
I find it a gimmick. Market? I think it's gimmicky. I think that's in my opinion, it's a Cricut person. So that's
crazy you think that way because I see that as like the advancement. That's the future.
I think that's one thing that screen printing will always have over DTG is the fact that I can't tell Photoshop to make this glow in the dark, but yet I can put glow in the dark plastisol onto a screen and push it through. So I think that's where they will always shine because as DTG continues to grow, I mean, it's getting faster and faster and faster. Like before, we talked about this, where in the early days, the printheads couldn't keep up with the inks. Now the inks can't keep up with the printheads. And so it's always this chasing game of what's going faster, and it's going to always be like that. We will never, and I don't want to see the end. I want it to constantly. I mean, there's printheads out there that array heads. Array heads are so rad.
It's like 12 inches a second.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
As wide as you want to make it.
Yeah, it just goes.
We're talking 15, 16, 18 feet wide printheads. And it's just spitting that paper out.
It's amazing.
If you actually go online and look for those, we're talking 5, 6, 7 years ago, this stuff. Spitting that out at that speed, it's crazy. Now, to get the volume you need for a shirt, it's a whole different animal. And trying to keep those open.
Yeah, because it's all unidirectional at that point.
Yeah.
But that's when you start doing multiple arrays behind each other.
Yeah.
And they
You start staggering. You start doing like an interweave.
If you have a nozzle loss on that,
You're gonna have a streak.
Yeah, right down the shirt. And think about you have a problem there. Replacing that head's going to be expensive.
More than the printer probably.
Yeah.
But even they have like there's now heads that are traditional style head where the ink flows through them constantly, and then it just fires it out of the river of ink when it needs it. Which is, I mean, that's where we're getting to. The same thing with like Epson has the nozzle detection where it actually is measuring. I'm paraphrasing here because I'm not exactly sure how the full technology works. I'm not an engineer, but on like the Epson 3070s, one of the things that I really thought was really cool about how they're doing things is based on the pressure at the damper. They can tell if that nozzle is firing or not. Yeah. And if that nozzle is not firing, this is all dynamic. This isn't during a nozzle check or during a cleaning cycle. This is doing it dynamic. And it will make the nozzle, the droplets, it's all variable droplets, they'll make them bigger around the missing nozzle to compensate.
Try to fill in.
And I think it's like 20% of the nozzles can be clogged before you start seeing banding. That's amazing.
Awesome. That's
cool.
insane.
That's amazing.
Because a couple years ago, you have nozzle.
You drop 3 nozzles and you got banding.
You can start seeing the band.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you drop a few nozzles out of your magenta, and all of a sudden you got banding. Or white. White's the biggest problem. You get banding in your white, and then you're going to have banding on your CMYK.
Yep. It's like, why are my colors look so crappy? Well, how does your white look?
Exactly.
Better.
Kind of grainy.
Well,
Blue.
there you go. It goes back to optimal.
Well, and it comes down to available channels and everything else.
Oh, of course.
Adding in, you get into.
What was it? One of them, the new ones they added orange and green.
Yeah, Brother's new printer has
it. The hexachromal and all.
And that's where it's going for me. I see that. I see the color gamut getting bigger more so than I see special effects. Because you ran a print shop. How many shirts out of 100,000 shirts?
Oh, it was
Were coming in looking for glitter.
Could we do puff? Yeah. Yes. Had I done it, maybe like twice.
Right. It's those exceptions. Now, unless you're like a specialty shop, so like companies like in the paper world, right? In the paper world, there's a machine called the MGI, and an MGI is basically it prints the gloss and prints the textures and prints the metallics and stuff like that on your business cards, and it's expensive. I mean, that machine alone is like $700,000, and then it's to print like just to gloss your words. The I Group logo on a business card is like 6 cents.
Yeah.
Worth of varnish. I mean, that's insanity to me. It's like, but people, so there's only like in Indiana, there's like 2 companies that have those machines in the entire state. That's it. Yeah. There's only a handful.
They can produce for the people that need that.
Right, exactly.
Not everybody's going to need
that. Exactly. But I do think this, like you saw, like M&R had their DTF printer there, and it was like a 10-color machine. I mean, they had fluorescence, they had RGB, they had CMYK, white.
DTF? Or
on their DTF.
Okay.
So, which to me, I mean, look, our eyes don't see the differences. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I mean, you and I will and Brian, because we're art people or whatever, we see it. I can see flaws from a mile away.
Yeah.
Okay? But your average consumer is not going to know the difference between if this was CMYK or is this CMYK plus RGB.
Yeah.
Ooh, you picked up that extra spectrum just a little bit more.
Like that mentality kind of chaps my ass with DTF. It's like, I got hung up on that aspect of it because I have a mindset of thinking as a creative and as a printer. But, we were talking to Marshall Atkinson, shout out to you. He kind of made me realize, like, customer really doesn't care we care.
The end user just wants that's a cool looking shirt. They're not going to go in and dissect it.
Exactly.
That's
it's hard. It's so hard for me,
an artisan,
and us people. You, if you're listening, probably as the printer to get into that mindset.
Well, and that's a big thing I deal with the commercial printers that do paper printing is because we go back to what we talked about on the previous conversation about not allowing customers to bring your own shirts in. You don't allow customers to bring their own envelopes in.
Yeah.
I mean, and do you tell your customer that is?
But I got a great deal on Amazon on. Come on.
Right, exactly. It's crazy. Yeah. But they don't. And I have actually, I think, a sample with me of the same print, both printed digitally on like a Ricoh or a Xerox or a Konica, whatever. 2 different papers. Same size, same gloss, same weight, same product, and one of them, the fusers, was picking the toner back up off the rollers. Another one printed it absolutely fine. And it's like you know from a print shop's perspective, hey, I have to run number 10 open flap envelopes through this machine. I cannot run closed flaps, or I can, vice versa.
Yeah.
And you know that. And you don't go to your customer and say, you know what? We're only selling Pixel paper. If you don't like Pixel and you want Sappy, too bad. They don't have, what the hell are you talking about?
They don't care.
They don't care. I just want my flyer.
Yeah, yeah.
And make it look good. Same thing with the t-shirt. Well, that's why I like telling customers, get the tag along, get the make your own, even if you're doing a cut sheet, make your own tags. I would never sell a shirt that had a Fruit of the Loom label on it or an RTP label on it. Every single shirt going out of my print shop is going to have my logo on it.
Why?
Removable.
Why?
So that there's none of that chasing brands.
And
well,
you're creating your own brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And repetitive.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
people
constant.
associate
Smart.
this quality.
That's
with-
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, and then also you get into a situation, and I try to tell print shops this as well, where if you pigeonhole yourself, and this is screen printers have created this mentality, where we are a insert brand here print shop. Well, then all of a sudden we start selling by that brand on the tag. And let's just say it's March is coming up, right? So all of a sudden now, here comes St. Patrick's Day, and I can't get mediums in brand X of green. I got to sub out to another brand. Now what?
Yeah.
That was foolish. Why did you just tell your customers that you
different
offer?
shade.
Yeah, I offer
Or slightly different hue or something.
different cut. Like,
And then,
look, some shirts print really well, but I don't like the way they fit.
Yep.
But I still sell them because they print well.
Yeah.
And it's not. That's not my. That's. I am selling the service of print. You tell me what you want. I'm going to occupy that through whatever bucket I can pull from, whether it be a port, whether it be a Hanes, a Fruit, a Cotton Heritage, an RTP, whatever it is. I make that choice as the print shop.
Yep.
And I don't allow my customers to dictate that. And that is huge because we've seen it, especially like last hoodie season.
Oh.
I mean, to get a hoodie was
shortage.
insane.
The shortage
So if you
of
don't
garments.
if you don't create a ability for your print shop to be able to buy from multiple brands and feel your customer doesn't give a shit. They want a picture of their dog on the shirt in 20 minutes. They don't care what the name of the tag is on it.
Yeah.
Take the tag off, put your own shop label on it, and move on.
it's an opportunity.
Yeah,
You're
and
missing
upsell
an
it or
opportunity.
whatnot. I mean, I never ever sell by the brand of the shirt. Well, we're a big Bella Canvas shop. I don't care.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I don't care. So you offer a premium. So what other premiums do you offer when they're out of that pink?
Yeah. Or
3001.
you just lose the sale.
Right, or you
because
just lose
you
the-
can't fulfill it.
Right. You know, that's
Due to inventory.
I tell people to create two buckets of shirts to choose from your own catalog. You create a basics and you create a premium.
Yep.
I create a basic short sleeve, basic long sleeve, basic V-neck, and I as the print shop are what fulfills that request. So you need a purple medium short sleeve. Whatever's available to me is what you're getting. That is what
Yeah,
I've
you've already
tested.
worked with.
I've vetted it out. I know that these
Yeah,
three brands
it
are
took
what
me-
I sell.
It took me a while to learn that, but I did 3. So I did like cheap, I did regular, and then premium.
Yeah.
So, and then.
But you kept it
and
like that
was-
as opposed to selling by the brand.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the key.
Because again, it came down to price. At most, 99% of the time it was price. But occasionally you got that one person who's like, well, what is that a I don't like a jersey or whatever. Because
Yeah.
they're so used to
Yeah.
whatever other shirt that they got and they looked at it and they go, oh, this is crappy or something. You know?
All right.
Yeah.
We got to reel back in here.
Yeah.
DTF. DTF, DTG. That was a great rabbit hole.
Sorry.
but-
No,
Yeah, okay,
there's
so-
value there. There is value.
Oh, absolutely. The DTF, though, it was a massive number
Oh.
of printers and just it was like
What's
an
the high
invasion. It was
thing?
like invasion of the body snatchers, and it was like, oh, it's all DTF, and that's all I heard that it, was this.
Yeah.
And I guess my whole perspective on it is look, it's going to be around.
Yeah.
You are early adopters. There are going to be issues with these printers as time goes by. A lot of these companies may or may not be around in a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
And finding that balance of educating, because a lot of people, unfortunately, they go to a show, they get razzle-dazzle, not necessarily smoke and mirrors, but sometimes smoke and mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we've had people that have given up DTG completely and just gone DTF. And it's like, okay, maybe for your business model that works, but a lot of people necessarily don't think it through.
Yeah.
They've had a bad experience with a certain brand of printer, and because of that, they've had issues and it didn't print. Well, DTG sucks.
Yeah.
DTF is promising to be much easier, and it's like, You're swapping one set of problems for another.
And they just haven't been educated. And that's because people are wanting to move boxes. We're back to that same mentality again of we're not interested in moving the market forward. We're interested in moving money.
Product. Yeah. And making the profit so that I can do it again next week.
And the problem that I think that most of these, it is sold on this promise of, all the DTG issues are gone. Listen, white ink is still in the machine.
And to be honest with you, I know, there are some tweaks, but it's not a whole lot different. And then again, the white ink technology has gotten a lot better.
Yes.
Ink management systems within the printers have gotten a lot better. However, you let that sucker sit for too long, it can result in the same issue.
Titanium is titanium, and it's going to settle. I like to use the analogy about Italian dressing.
Yeah, that's a great example.
And so Italian dressing, if it sits for a while, it starts to settle down. You have to shake it up. The same thing. And what will happen with DTG printers, especially people who are running bulk systems or aren't shaking their inks properly, it'll start to siphon off all the water as the pigment settles. And then you suck in the heavier pigment.
And then
boom, you change the viscosity of the ink.
Yeah, and it only takes... I'm not your guys making. I have no idea, but it's a very minute change will lock up a damper system or a print head right now.
We know about machines that do that.
Or really that's why we have an ink management roller for 20-liter cubes of ink.
Mm-hmm. To keep it moving.
To keep it moving.
You got to.
If you leave it sit, it'll go back in, at least our InkSnet will go back into solution relatively easily. However, if you just take it and let it sit there for whatever period of time, it's going to be heavier and lighter.
Oh yeah.
And we've seen your ink. It's like time. It's running. It's dripping out of the print head. That's maybe because it separated.
Yeah.
You left your ink in the printer for how long?
Right.
A month. And you're not doing anything, and it's sucked in.
Right, and you wonder why you have problems, and that's going to happen with DTF.
But you know what? That's not their fault. That's the manufacturer's fault.
But it's an education fault.
It is education
because the end customer, the end user. But think about it though. The end user isn't necessarily privy to all this, which is why I'm glad we're talking about it to get it out there, because that was the whole premise of doing these podcasts. Was to educate people because there's so much misinformation.
Yes. Well,
so much.
They want to hear what they want to hear.
And yes, that's another whole episode.
and listen, I lose sales sometimes because of that. I tell it like it is, and people don't like it. People don't want to hear what I'm telling them. I've been
told that it'll do this. You're telling me
it won't.
It won't. Yeah.
I've been kicked out of other people's booths back in the day because they've bold-faced lied to people to make a sale, and it's like you can't
do that.
Listen, if I have to do that to make a sale, then I'm in the wrong business.
That's $20,000 this person's putting up, and you're setting them up for failure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's $20,000. Yeah, you got paid, but what about them? They took out a lease on this, and they're paying for the next 5 years. Come on, that's not right.
It's not right at all.
It is not.
But it's okay. To your point, and to that point, if you put yourself in the shoes, if you had no experience, right, and you just said, "Hey, I want to print some shirts because I think there's a good opportunity. I think I have a little bit of a market, for whatever reason," you're basically coughing up, $20 grand.
Yeah, okay.
Are you going to educate yourself? Are you going to take the time to learn the tool that you just bought that costs that amount of money?
You better.
Exactly.
Well, but here's the thing. A lot of people will do that, and I commend that. The problem is there's so much crap on YouTube and all that.
That is true.
And on top of that, you can only get educated to the point that your educator presents good information.
Yeah.
If you're presented with crap, you could have researched it for 5 months, think you have everything understood, but if your source was bad, and that's why I keep trying to throw things,
like one single individual source.
You also have to understand that the turnover rate in sales staff and whatever, and within all companies in general, especially in our industry, is high. Yeah. So one of my questions then is, you want to buy from a specific dealer, how long have they been in business? How long do they know the space?
It's like buying, I love this, it's like buying real estate, okay? You go in someplace, say I'm a new real estate investor, and I go to you, Eric, and it's like, I got all these great properties I can show you. Okay, no, forget all that. take me and show me your properties. Yeah, but these are great commercial. No, show me your commercial properties. If they're such a great deal and you have none, why the hell would I buy from you? You have no experience in it.
Right.
That's why I like talking to the people that we do on this show. You've got the experience. You know, you've had a shop. We've done these things. We've been through the ringer.
Yep.
And we're not necessarily here to blow smoke up your butt.
Right.
It's more to, I guess I have a compelling...
You have
well, you're coming from a print shop's mindset as opposed to just a sales mindset.
I've gotten screwed.
Yeah.
And I can't see how people can sell crap like
either.
that and go home and sleep at night. Well, hey, dear, I just sold $50,000 a day. Yeah, let's go out to dinner. Got to do this again next week. The poor sucker doesn't know he's going to get screwed.
There's a reason why used car salesmen are considered sleazy. And I think it all comes back, you know what I mean?
Not all used car salesmen. Not everybody.
Put that back on me. I said it. Dean said it. But yes, not all of you are bad.
But it goes back to people in general.
There is that connotation of where are they coming from? Do they just want the buck, or do they want you to actually be a happy customer? Like, where's their mindset?
I mean, it comes up with us sometimes where the customer is not the right customer. I won't sell to them.
Exactly. And I've mentioned it before on the show I've been at a show where Brian has actually told a customer that was ready to purchase one of our high-end machines.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Like, that takes, you have compassion and understanding.
It sucks for the pocketbook.
Well, yeah,
but I can sleep at night.
I'm not going to deal with the support that's going to come from it afterwards as well. Exactly. So, I mean, I can make the sale, but if I'm not, if I know that person isn't necessarily ready for it, I'd rather push them to one of my current customers that they can grow their business with.
They could contract out.
Yes, and get going. Correct.
Exactly. And learn in that process because you know what? If you're just starting out in business, it's extremely difficult. I think everybody should run their own business for a little bit, because I said if I ever needed to go work for somebody, I get it. Yeah. It's like, look, Eric, I get you're having a really crappy day today. Look, we can push this off to tomorrow or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Because there's so much that even I get it. It's fine because you get the brunt of a lot of it. It's like, Dean, just leave me alone right now. Or it's like I'm short because it's like I've got 50 million things to deal with. Yeah. But having that perception, I think on a salesman's side, with what you've been through, lends a lot of credibility to what you're doing with Millcraft and the DTF and the DTG side. So swinging that all back around into the DTF, where do you see the direct-to-garment / apparel decorating industry DTF, we'll call it the digital apparel decorating, going the next several years?
I think that we're going to get some OEMs on the DTF. I think we'll see an Epson or a Ricoh or a Mamaki or somebody that's a wide format. That's what they do. There's so much money being left on the table. A purpose-built machine, an OEM machine that's got OEM ink sets. I see that happening so that they can. It's exactly like DTG. It's exactly so. In 2013, when Epson brought the F2000 to market, half the industry went out of business.
The repurposed.
Yeah, all the repurposers. Because they no longer were competitive anymore. Yeah. I mean, you can't have like an Epson or any of these other companies that are saying, we're noticing that we've sold X amount of machines and we should be receiving this amount in residuals through the ink sales, and the KPIs aren't matching up right. Yeah. What's happening? And our machines are being repurposed for this other model. Yeah. Okay, well then let's get in that. Let's get in that.
And part of that is them sitting back going, okay, what are they doing?
Yeah. Well, and that's the hard part about the Japanese brains.
What's working? What's
they're
not
so
working?
slow. It takes them forever. So they're gonna.
It's smart.
It is, because they're gonna see what's wrong. They're gonna watch exactly what's happening now, see exactly where their strengths and weaknesses are. Yep, and they'll fix. And they will have. It'll be an
improvement. It'll be like Web 2.0.
T-Jet to F2000. Or 2100 now. I mean, it's the same process. It's inevitable. It can't not happen. It's going to happen. It has to happen. It's only a matter of time.
Taking that into consideration, where do you see that leading the DTF market?
I think that
and what type of user?
I see the roll-to-roll world working very similar to like how Fast Signs operates, where you're doing more volume transfers. I mean, we have customers who are buying the DTF equipment not to do the transfers, but to sell the transfers as though like they are to the Etsy shops that have a heat press.
Sort of like the DTG, going back to the ink blocker type thing.
Exactly.
Fulfillment. You have everything funnel in, print, ship out.
Ship it out, yep. And they're not doing any of the transfer.
All the end user, like if you were, quote unquote, considering buying a machine to do it yourself, all you really need to do is dumb it down to just a heat
press.
You buy the transfers, your heat press.
Now, what I do like about the DTF is that, I mean, like my training on a DTF machine is half the amount of time that's required on a DTG printer because all the variables are not there. We literally print with one print setting. That's it. Mm-hmm. I print 1080 by 1080 color ink setting with the rip, and that's it. I don't, there's no black, there is, I mean, I can do black knockout and all that, but it doesn't look as good, and there's no real purpose for it, like with the Flaming Guitar image again, where we're fading off to the transparencies into the shirt. You're not really going to do that on DTF.
So
it just isn't.
It as one color setting basically covers everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
White shirt to a black shirt.
Yeah, and that way it's just it's drag, drop, print, and it's done. And all I'm doing is queuing up. But what I see is going to happen is obviously the print speeds. I think we'll get rid of powder. I see that going away over the next few years. It'll be jetted glue. Yeah, it only makes sense just to add another channel to the print head or add another head.
Another head.
Yeah, and just jet the glue. It only makes sense.
And to be honest with you, I know that's in works.
I mean, there's already out there. It's not perfected yet, but it's out there. It's the same thing with like hot peel versus cold peel.
Yeah.
You know, I think hot peel is more efficient. But when you look at the same exact print, one cold peel, one hot peel, it is night and day. It's the difference between printing on a carded, open-end T-shirt and a ring-spun T-shirt. It is that big of a difference. Now, if your customer doesn't know,
you're saying the cold peel
looks way better.
Okay, why do you think that is?
I think that it has to do with the heat losing and affecting the pigment of the inks. And it not allowing it to pop as hard for some reason. I don't know the physics behind it, but
it has to be something to do along with the release, because that's the only differentiator.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know what causes a hot press to release and a cold press not. I don't really know the physics behind it too. But having tested both at the exact same print, same printer, same everything, just different films. A hot peel versus a cold, same manufacturer of films. Just they have a hot peel and they have a cold peel, and it's night and day. I mean, it is blown away. But and for me, if I've got 20 shirts to do, who cares? I press a shirt, I put it to the side, I press another shirt, and when I'm done with them, I start pulling.
Go through the list.
And I'm going to press them again anyways. You know, so and that's the other bad part about DTF is that when after the press is done, you still have to press it again.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it takes that second
now,
press.
For those that are watching and thinking about DTF, why are you repressing it? Because you've already pressed it.
Well, yeah.
Peeled it.
So the two reasons why you're repressing it. First of all, is to get rid of any leftover glycerin, because the DTF, it sweats. It's the wildest thing. So I'll print an image on the roll-to-roll, and I'm done for the day, but that image hasn't made it all the way through the powder and the oven and everything. I'll come back the next day, and the glycerin that's in the inks will have ran down the film and will pool up at the bottom. And then when you watch it go through the oven, you can literally watch it just gas off.
Okay.
And then it'll actually on the
it's kind of like how plastisol cures.
Kind of, more like a water base, but but it gases out. And on the inside of the ovens, it will start to build up this weird drip. It'll drip onto your film. It'll drip out of like the air filter system, and like weekly or so, depending on how busy you are, you need to open the machine up and wipe all that excess glycerin off. And I've even seen where like cut sheet, where, you know, I printed them, I come back on, you know, over the weekend, and then I come back on Tuesday, and there's literally beads of moisture on my print where it has wicked out of the inks. So when you press and you pull your film, some of that will still residual glycerin will stick, and you'll get this weird. It's this tack. It's, you know how a shirt feels if it's not been fully dried. It's kind of a little tackiness to it. It's very similar to that. So the trick then is, you know, you want to do it to eliminate the excess glycerin and also to soften the print. So if I put the print back into the heat press, and I'm talking 4 or 5 seconds with medium to heavy pressure, with either a piece of craft paper, parchment paper, or the new trick that I've learned is actually taking a scrap shirt laying that over the print
to give it a texture.
And it'll help press the texture of the other shirt into the other shirt. Texture. Yeah,
it's like
and
Velcro. Just, they're talking to each other,
and it really softens it up. Yeah. But also, some film, some powder, some inks are softer than others, depending on the grind, the granules, and there's a lot of variables in that too. But there's never going to be a one and done. We're always will have a Pepsi Coke situation here. It's always going to be that way. But I see DTF as not going away. I see it getting more efficient, cleaner. And maybe even getting to where, just like the M&R one. So the M&R machine that they were showing was much more compact, as opposed to like some of the other ones where the shaker, you got 10 feet.
Okay.
I'm sure you saw that stuff.
Here's
we'll talk about
here's something though too to think about. The cost of DTG versus the cost, and I'm talking equipment wise, DTF.
About the same by the time it's all said and done. So, I mean, an average DTG package from us. You got because with me,
stamp it.
With me, you're not going to buy just a printer. You have to buy the solution. Now we'll custom build the solution that fits best with your budget and your needs and all that stuff, and capacity requirements.
It depends on what you're doing, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, if I'm putting an F2100 with a Max with two, auto clams or two air fusions, well, we're up to $40,000 pretty quick. Yeah. Or you're spending $30,000 on an all-in-one consumption, with the printer, the shaker, the oven, heat presses. You're still going to spend about the same kind of money. Again, it goes back to what is your business model is where I'm going to direct you to go down. If you're onesie twosies coming in, or your exceptions to your traditional printing is those athletic apparel, is the nylon, is spandex, well then doing DTG with a DTF add-on makes sense. Yeah. If your core business is taking in bulk orders of 50 units, then go DTF. I mean, unless you're doing cotton and you need artwork is dependent, but so much of the artwork that we print that is for real customers is vector style design, logos. It's not the stuff we print at the shows to show the capabilities of the printer.
Like that.
It is funny that when you're at a show, you're looking at like the wildest artwork, because it shows off the machines, and that honestly is where the core mindset should be. Yet when you actually buy the machine, take it home, and you start printing and stuff with it, you're going back to the simple block letters,
it's the collegiate text with a little basketball and whatever, or maybe doing something with a lot of color in it. Yeah. But you're not doing that crazy print stuff unless. One, you have a brand for something specific. Yep. It's an artesian type shirt that's, artsy. Yeah. But like I said, everything's vectorized, which for people that aren't familiar with that would be just more spot color oriented. Yeah. Simple, something like this. Yeah. That's more simple.
Graphic as opposed to photo.
Standard logo.
Yeah.
Standard logo.
Traditional 2-3 color logos. That's really what we're printing more of than anything. DTF, again, I go back to it, but I love it for hoodies. I really do, because I'm not pre-treating it. I don't have to worry about the pocket being in my way. I don't have to worry about fibrillation. I don't have to worry about dye migration as much anyways. It's still there, but it depends on the brand, obviously, of shirt. But I don't like it on a cotton t-shirt. I really don't. It's too heavy of a hand for me. It still feels like a transfer.
It has, especially if it's a bigger design, which when designed properly, like on a black shirt, you were saying you really only recommend one setting the color, which is if it's a big solid print,
pretty well have to.
You're going to have this big sheet of plastic essentially.
Yeah, I mean it's lighter than vinyl at least, but it's not.
But at the same point, if you DTG it and do that correctly, but it comes back to a lot of it's just education and learning how to design the artwork correctly.
Oh, that's huge.
I mean, if you don't know how to design, you're just throwing crap together. You're going to get crap, garbage in, garbage out. What you see is what you get.
How often do we get asked, well, my shirt is this color, what pre-treat should I use? That's irrelevant. It's
every friggin' day.
Yeah, it's completely irrelevant.
Multiple times a
I don't
day.
care what color your shirt is. What's your artwork?
Yeah.
The art is what drives what you're doing.
what are you trying
That's
to achieve?
complete. It's so art based, and people will get so hung up on the light garment versus dark garment. No, it's white ink or no white ink.
Again, misconceptions.
Yeah, and that's where the training, again, we get back into, and I hate to continue to beat the dead horse, but that's one of Millcraft's big things is
value.
Is
There's
that,
massive value there.
teaching that kind of stuff, because for you to figure it on your own is going to take you so long, and money. You're going to be so upset that you bought the machine because I'm not making money now.
Yeah.
When I want to be able to leave your print shop and you feel confident to go out there and start
jump
selling
in
it.
and get going.
Yep.
Be able to
as quick
start
as possible.
printing,
Yeah.
so you can start making money.
Exactly.
But
So I can start making
it's
money.
like, yeah, well, everybody in the
Right.
system wins, hopefully. But a lot of that comes down to I guess a lot of entrepreneurs set the bars high, you push, which is normal.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're starting off in either DTG or DTF, you have that learning curve. Don't commit to a 1,000 shirt run.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
And just get the machine in and say, I got to get the machine in and start.
It's
You're in
amazing.
training. You're in training. You got to show me how to do this. I have to get these shirts done by tomorrow. Whoa.
take that job still. If you have that job, take it. Outsource it.
Yes.
Be smart about what
Yes.
you're doing.
How many times have you
As you're-
seen that in
I've had people buy machines specifically because they had somebody who thought that they were going to get an
Get
order
a job
from,
for it. Yeah.
and then they take the order somewhere else, and now they're stuck with the machine.
Yeah.
We've seen that
And that's
multiple
what they're
occasions. That happens all the
banking
time.
They're busy. Like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, we want your money. I'll take your money. I want to sell you machines, but I don't want the machine being a dust collector. I want that machine. My rule is that I want, if the machine can produce, and this is an arbitrary number, if the machine can produce 10 prints an hour, I want you running it at least 3 prints an hour. I want 30% capacity out of that machine. If you're not able to keep that machine running, getting off.
To start.
If you need to already have that business model
Sort of
built,
built in.
to where you're able to say, okay, we can implement this and hit the ground running.
Now, let me ask you this. So we have DTG, DTF, laser toner, all that. So what would you tell somebody? Obviously, your clientele is different, but you've dealt with everybody from the small mom and pops to the big guys. What would you tell somebody that is looking to get into the apparel decorating side of things? Let's say five things to look at as you're trying to get into this industry. Just so to educate these people that are saying, hey, I've got some money. I may have to take a loan. What are the 5 big important things you would label for these people getting in?
5 tips.
The first and most important is probably all 4 or 5 of them is finding the right partner. Okay? Because there are dozens and dozens and dozens of potential people you can buy the equipment and your blanks from and your inks from and your pre-treatment from. Having the right partner is crucial. From a manufacturing standpoint to your sales reps to your support, everything, that is so crucial because it's not a matter of if you're going to need support. It's when. And they better be there. And if they're not there, then it's all for naught. You might have got a good deal at the show. You might have got a great deal because of this or that.
There's a reason why.
But there's a reason. Are they there? Are they going to be there tomorrow? Millcraft's a 120-year-old company. 104. We didn't get there by not treating our customers properly. We didn't get there by just.
It's a long, slow process.
Yes,
growth
absolutely,
process.
very slow. I mean, and Travis, we don't consider ourselves a dealer of anything. We're not a distributor. We are a merchant. People come to us with their wants and needs, and we fulfill those wants and needs for them.
Merchants of production.
And that's crucial, though. Right?
That should be the title for this podcast: The Merchants of Production.
So I think number 1 is finding the proper partner to work with, and not only just on the equipment side, because they all print beautiful.
Have that mindset that you need a partner is.
That's crucial.
Yeah.
2 is training. You've got to be trained. If you think you're going to wing it, you're not.
Even after the sale.
Yes.
You know what? I tell people.
Or go ahead and try and suffer.
In screen printing, DTG, any of that. Hey, you know what? Life is a continual learning process. I don't have a problem spending a couple $100, a couple $1,000 to learn something. Could I learn it on my own throughout this interspersed throughout the internet? Probably. But you know what? how much is your time worth?
Yeah.
If you can go and take a 2-day course, 3-day course, dedicated to, you already know how to do DTF or DTG. Maybe it's ancillary stuff related to that. Improving your workflow, improving your artwork, improving whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
Spend the time and the money to do that.
Agreed.
Because that will continue to make you better. Then after 20 years, you can be like Eric.
Nobody wants that.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, right. No kidding. No kidding.
Partner,
education. Like back to your suppliers, making sure that you are working with suppliers that are going to be there. That we have blank manufacturers, that inventory issues, consistency issues. I've had major brands where the shirts were manufactured in 2 different countries.
Yep.
And
there's a problem with that?
right? With screen printing, nobody ever sees
Nobody
it.
cares.
With embroidery, you don't see it. With vinyl, you don't see it. With DTG, you see it right away.
Yep.
So figuring out, okay, well, this particular brand, I have issues with when the shirts come from this particular country of origin or whatever the case will be. So creating that small menu of options is
known variables.
Yes, and keeping control of those variables.
You know what you don't know, and you don't know what you know. However that saying goes. I'll get it right one of these times, but it's one of those things where take out the variables so you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Then you have fewer issues and fewer surprises.
Yep.
So it helps you be more successful in that process.
Number 4 is going to be your workflow. Making sure you understand that the machine does not print by itself. The machine is a tool for you to create a business out of.
Make money.
Right.
It's just a tool.
It's all it is. And how many people do we see online that's, well, I just bought a printer, but I don't know how to use Photoshop. Where do I get artwork from? Where do I do this? And it's like,
it's not a deal breaker.
It's not, but you should.
These are the questions you should have been asking before you bought the machine.
Right. What's involved in this?
Yes.
Because a lot of times don't let the lights and the smoke and all this stuff cloud your judgment when you're looking at equipment and what the realities are of implementing this into my business, how much investment is going to be required, how much time is going to be required. These things are questions that should be asked, and if they don't answer your questions, they don't know, go somewhere else.
Find somebody that will, because again, it goes back to the partner.
Exactly. And again, I mean, partner is to me is back to that again. I mean, it's so crucial to me that you have somebody to lean on, and not the salesperson. Because the salesperson might not be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because they could be at Home Depot tomorrow.
They may not have the experience.
Most of them won't. There's only, and I'm not saying this because our industry is so small. Okay, it is very, 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 very tiny, and all the people.
Yeah,
it is.
All of the people though who have high level experience in this industry, we all know each other.
We do.
We're all friends. We're competitors at the show. We're drinking beers after the show together. How was your show? What'd you learn? What's going on? What's your cut? There's a lot of locker room talk in our industry.
Unless you're a total.
Well, yeah, there are.
Unless you're a total wackadoo, the type that.
Yeah, well, we don't talk to them. Yeah, but for the most part, everybody. So the finding the person that, and not all dealers have experience, but the people who do, either they're running their own shops, as in high level big shops, because they're that vested into the space and they know that much about it that they're able to. Like I could start a print shop again if I wanted to, through my knowledge or whatever. There's very few places you're going to go and there's going to have somebody on staff that can come in and tell you what's wrong with your production. That can tell you, hey, try this instead of that.
Tweak.
They don't know.
Might be just something really tiny that will make a world of difference.
Yeah, ridiculously simple stuff that they just don't know how to answer, and you get ran through the ringer. Well, they couldn't answer this question. They couldn't answer that question. They didn't know who can tell me. And then what happens? They go on Facebook. They go to one of our groups, and they start asking the community because their own vendor can't help them. And that's a problem, So, as a buyer, somebody who's going out and looking for equipment,
and going to those places doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to get.
There's so much bad information on those groups. I mean, there's a lot of good too. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
there's a lot of people that mean well.
You have to sift through, and if you don't know
what's good and what's bad,
how much time are you wasting doing
what's
that?
the crap?
Again,
what's
time
the
is money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same argument about a pritchett machine versus a paint roller, or a spray gun or a paint gun. I mean, those arguments and conversations happen from a operator standpoint, but your vendor that you're working with and the people who are teaching you and training you should know.
Be perpetuating that.
Yes.
They should not be perpetuating that, yet some of them still do.
Yes.
Which perpetuates the problems and perpetuates the deficiencies in the system that cause people to fail. Mm-hmm. Thus,
and then you get a bad taste in their mouth.
It paints a bad picture.
Yeah.
So it might be a small picture on the core problem, but it still adds to the total picture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Iceberg problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 5. Cap it on out, man.
Let's see. We've talked blanks. We've talked training. We've talked partner. We've talked support, suppliers, workflow.
You just hit on.
Number 5.
You know what? I'll throw in 5 for you.
Okay.
Business education.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great one.
If you are just starting out, read some books. Maybe take some classes at a local university if they offer some type of entrepreneurial or business training program.
And you know what? If you're listening to this now, you are already one step ahead. You're educating yourself.
Further. And then if there's people out there watching this that would like to be on the show to talk about some of this, absolutely. Because you know what? That's why I love talking to people like you and anybody we have on here. Is there's so much to learn outside of, you can get in, you get this overview, and then you go and you start peeling back the onion.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why we go down these rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But it's fun because you can learn so much.
We are talking, so I've mentioned it before. If you're here, if you're listening, what we're covering is about business.
Period.
You have your printer. It is a tool to make you money, which should be developing into a business.
Right.
So I wish that I could have gone back in time and done a little bit more business education from the start. Like eventually I did. It kind of was like, the
hard knock style.
Yeah, it was. It was I was learning as I was growing.
It was the high tuition education.
Exactly.
Well, I think to your point.
So going into, but I wish I would have went into it with that. Not, okay, I'm going to start a business. I need to educate myself on how to run a business or think like I'm running.
Exactly, and I agree with you. I mean, for number 5 being, you've got to be business educated. I mean, you need to understand what your break even is. You need to understand what the ROI is on the machine. What is your cost of operating it? What's your GP dollars look like? What's your EBITDA going to be? You need to understand all of these factors because this is a business. This is not a hobby. This is a full-blown business.
To make money.
Absolutely.
Hopefully support your family and other families.
Yeah, and grow and scale.
And even if it starts at a hobby, eventually that hobby becomes a business.
Well, that's the plan.
Yeah. I mean,
you're just going to keep doing it for giggles.
Yeah,
right.
Because you got money to blow. You're just independently wealthy, right? With time and money to.
So you want to print T-shirts?
Yeah, wrong.
I'm going to be on the beach hanging out.
I don't think I know too many people that would do that. But hey, I'm sure there's somebody out there.
It's interesting. We sold a printer to a lady who just wanted a printer for her craft room. Had a
just to have it around to do stuff.
8,000 square foot house.
Oh my goodness.
See, there's other factors there. Like
there's when you have.
She was
money,
bored.
Yeah, I was going to say when you
didn't want a dog and was allergic to animals or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what though? That's fine. That's what makes the world go round.
You know what factor of our business model that is? 0.00001%.
Yeah.
Like it's
people who don't have 20 grand to throw out there just as a hobby in most cases. I mean, it's.
But it amazes me. Speaking to that, it amazes me the people that I do talk to that I feel like they just threw $20,000 away because they didn't do they didn't take the time to learn these things.
Yeah.
They didn't consider your 5 tips. Like they just went into it blindly and feel that they were sold a false bill of goods.
Yeah.
And I feel for those people.
I do too.
That's why we're doing this. That's why
I feel bad for them.
I have a passion for this, to avoid that.
Yeah. So. And, wrapping all this up because we have hit about that time where we need
Man, it goes fast.
It
does, when you just start talking about stuff. But we appreciate you
No,
stopping
thank you.
in, sharing, where you see. So as a quick recap, direct to garment going to be around?
Oh, it's never going anywhere. It's never going to go away.
DTF, what? Well, gosh, I shouldn't even ask that question because that'll go. We'll have to have you back on another time.
Eric will be back.
We'll cover stuff down the road again. But DTF is here to stay.
Yep.
DTG is here to stay.
Screen printing's here to stay. Embroidery's
Transfers,
here to stay.
all that stuff.
None of it's going to go away.
It just, as we've said, the pie gets bigger. Options for decorating.
Yes.
And the opportunities to create new decorating opportunities.
Yeah.
Continue to present themselves.
The pie gets bigger and the slivers start to move around. Who's got the bigger
market share? I mean, because right now, digital owns like 8% market share, if something like that, 5 to 8%. And I think Printing United is saying by next year, like 30 to 40% market share. Digital old.
2025 was
2025. Okay.
It was a big jump, which is going to be interesting because that paradigm shift from technology-wise, we're going to see technology increase. But it's going to take time for the end consumer, the people getting into apparel decorating, to catch up.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen overnight because of the capital expenditures.
Oh, absolutely.
The technology is going to get there. We're going to see more of a shift of it. Well,
Eric, shameless plug time. We're rounding things out. Eric with Millcraft, you mentioned a little bit earlier that you have some road shows that you
absolutely.
Doing,
so if you go to our event calendar, just go to millcraft.com and you'll see an apparel decorating tab. You click on that. That'll eventually take you to our event calendar. But yeah, so we do an event, I think every month, every 3 weeks, starting in March. We'll be doing an event. Our first one is actually going to be at our Grove City, which is a suburb of Columbus, Ohio. Our facility there. The Viper guys are coming down, hopefully, to hang out with us. We'll have some machines there. And come check it out for sure. And we'll have our wide format equipment there. So we're also doing the DAX Expo. We're doing...
And this is an opportunity for like hands-on.
Absolutely.
Get in there, kind of actually get dirty. Talk to people, learn stuff.
Have a cocktail.
Face-to-face.
come pick on Eric, and
Yeah. Come bring what you got, and I'll be happy to...
Hopefully he doesn't suck all the air out of the room. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know how it is.
Breathe in here.
I got to get out of here too. No, it should be good. I'm looking forward to it. This will be a good year. It's probably the most trade shows that Millcraft's ever done in its existence. So we have
anything exciting to announce with Millcraft and DTG perhaps?
Well, I mean, technically speaking, so we are now an Epson dealer. So those of you who are looking at Epson, yeah, right. So this is the first place we've actually announced it.
There you go.
Publicly. So yeah, came here.
Second guest on the Daily DTG and getting able to drop these bombs. You know?
So we're really looking forward to working with Epson. When I talk about partnerships, again, they have a phenomenal partnership opportunity for us, and with our customers. Their warranty and service program is unbelievable. It's untouchable. We are very honored that they even talked with us. Getting a dealership with them now is quite difficult. They're starting to really thin the herd as to who's able to sell what, when, where, and why. So if you are an Epson shop, you're looking at Epson equipment and you're in the Midwest, let us know. Be happy to have that conversation with you guys. Come kick the tires in our demo center in Indianapolis. Come see us next month in Columbus. I'll have the machines there.
How did they get a hold of you? How to track you down?
I don't want people calling me, Dean. Call you.
Call you. Call me.
Okay, how about the main corporate office?
Yeah.
Just go to millcraft.com, Millcraft. That's the easiest way. Or you can just email justask@millcraft.com, and that'll get circulated to the appropriate segment. So if it's wide format or whoever, it'll get some.
And eventually,
it'll filter back.
Beautiful eyes will lay hands.
There you go.
Everybody already has my cell phone number. Probably all people already. I'm gonna start getting text messages when this goes out. Like, hey, I know you.
Wait. Yeah. Why did they cut your head off? But
thank you guys very much. I appreciate you letting me.
Coming on.
This has been fun. We will do this again.
Yeah, for sure.
Swing back through maybe later this year. We'll
we'll do something in the spring.
Yeah, catch up, see what's going on.
I think we're going to be doing an event in Akron. So hey,
that's true, and that's
pretty close.
March, July, I think.
July.
I think
it's June is
Indianapolis. Yep. So we'll be March, Columbus, Ohio. April is the DAX event, Chicago. And then May is the so we're doing the big brewery show, Nashville. And then Akron is sometime in there, and then September, Indianapolis is in June.
Expo.
And then Graphics or Printing United, we're doing that in October. Yeah, so we have quite the calendar for the whole year. I mean, in the Midwest, obviously, you know how it is. We don't want to travel in the middle of winter. February is a bad month to try to do shows and stuff like that. But it's a really cool. It's a very small environment to really, see the equipment up close. It's not like going to it was great going to Impressions this year. I'm sorry you couldn't make it, Dean. I know they didn't want you to come.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Family.
That was a hit conversation.
But I think it was awesome seeing the shows back. I've done so many shows, Brian. You've done so many shows that I don't want to do shows anymore. I'm burnt out, but it was good to see it.
There was a lot of people, a lot of activity. Hopefully we see that keep transpiring in the DTG DTF arena.
Absolutely.
And see the industry grow. I'm excited to see what's going to happen down the road.
I am too. So. I think that's the key. We are far from over in this. The industry will continue to grow after we're all long gone. There's no doubt about it. Screen printing's been along since before Christ. So
4,000 years.
I always look at that picture. There's the guy who was hawking. He was selling the picture of Jesus' head as he was carrying the crucifix. There's this old painting, and it's who's this dude selling T-shirts? But anyways, wrapping things up here at the Daily DTG. Like and subscribe. Go to our Facebook page.
Yes.
Please reach out if you have topics for the show, if you have questions, if you are looking for insight on a certain topic. Reach out to us. We are more than happy to reach out to our group of vendors, all of our connections. We will put you in place that we feel is proper for what you need to have answered with, cutting out all of the BS. That's our core thing here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and Brian?
We appreciate it, and appreciate you once again, Eric, stopping by.
Thank you.
So that will wrap it up for this episode of the Daily DTG. Make sure you check, like you said, subscribe, get notifications, and we'll catch you the next time on the Daily DTG.